Let's talk about the summer VHF contest. CQ, this is Kilo Echo 4, Whiskey Mike Foxtrot.
Roger, you are blasting into the state of Ohio, 59+1.
Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Scott, call sign KE4WMF, and I did not make recordings of the individual contests that I participated in this summer. So I'm going to make one video which encompasses all three. That would be the June ARRL VHF contest, where I participated on 4 bands, the July CQ Worldwide VHF Contest, which is now broken up into 2 separate efforts. One is on single sideband and CW, and the other is digital, which we all know just basically means FT8. I'm doing the FT8 portion of it right now, so you're going to see me look off over this way from time to time because I'm participating in the contest right now as I record. So let me tell you about what I've been doing. Let's see, I'll go with the ARRL contest first. I don't remember what my score was, so I'm just going to flash some pages or something up to show you what I did. I'm going to give you just a summary of how that went. I'm having a lot of construction done on my house. It is a 2-week project. It was a 2-week window that was thought that might be done in a week, and I am entering week 6. I am definitely having some fatigue from the big holes in the ground and the people running around on the property and things just not going quite the way they're supposed to. So I do appreciate getting out here and doing radio, but I've also had the tower on the roof for way longer than I usually have it. Usually I have it up for 6 or 8 weeks per year. Right now, I think I've had it up for 6 or 7 weeks straight, and that's very unusual. But I store the tower in the backyard, and with them running around with equipment and themselves, I didn't want them to hit any of my radials and bend them up. So here I am. This is like a semi-permanent look. There's people out there who think my car's like this all the time. It really isn't. So let's see, June VHF. Well, it is summertime, so it's getting warm. Right now in my car, it is 88 degrees. I think it's about 95 outside. So I might turn the car on here in just a little bit to kind of cool things down a little bit. We'll see how that goes. June. This was my first June VHF contest for ARRL. For some reason, I'd always missed the June contest. I also support a friend's bicycle touring company, and she always schedules them, her tours, right on top of Hamvention and right on top of the June VHF contest. I did not tour with her this June, so I was able to participate in the June VHF contest, but because of the construction at my house, I could only give the contest 1 day. So, and I kind of blew it there too, because I got to my usual location. It's a grid square of FM 17, 07, 08, and 18. My goal was to work maybe just the 4 grids was all I had time for this time in 1 day. And I got up there late. I don't remember why. And then I did my usual bit of looking at the call-in frequency on 6 meter, maybe scrolling up and down the band a couple of times. Nothing, and it might have been dead at that point in the day. So then I go right to FT8 and start looking there. FT8 on 6 meter and 2 meter simultaneously. And I do okay doing that. I had a few people that would text me, say, hey, are you available? So I made some QSOs with them. I can't remember how many total QSOs I made. I'll stick it up in the corner. I forget. I think I got to point that way. It's been so long that way. I'll get it up in the corner somewhere. So I did okay. But as I was leaving my final position, it must have been about 10 o'clock at night, there was a band opening on 6 meter. And I don't know how long it had been going on because I had been doing FT8. Somebody approached me in a parking lot in Louisa, Virginia, and he lived nearby. So he says, hey, give me a minute to get home and I'll give you a call. So he and I worked while I think when I was in that parking lot. So that was FM 08. I think. And then I went to FM 07, set up in my other location, and then worked him. And because of me working voice with him, I saw all the other voice activity. And gosh, by the time that was there, it was time for me to go. I had a lot of work to do on Sunday, final preps for getting the house ready for the contract work to start. And I hated to leave it. Oh, there was a big pileup out in Oklahoma. I saw that Texas had a lot of activity, and wow. So I made a mistake, no doubt, by scheduling this housework to start the day after the contest. I figured, oh, I'll be fine. And no, that was dumb. So September, I'm going to try to give it a good run again. And then next year, if I am available, and I really hope I will be, now I understand. So I will give a much more concerted effort in the evening and maybe the early morning, I don't know. Let's see, there was something else. Oh, this was one of these times. I think I've mentioned before that I wish my radios had a waterfall, because if I had a waterfall, then even while on FT8, at least for every other 15 seconds, I think I would have been able to see the activity on the waterfall, got curious, and then went and looked at it. And that's what I'm missing by not having a waterfall. So I wish I had one. All right, something's going on here. Let me turn something off and turn something else back on. All right, here we go. So this CQ Worldwide VHF Contest, it's usually on the third weekend of every July, and it's not a really high participation event. It just doesn't pull down the interest that ARRL's contests do. I'm not sure why. It could be because they only do it on 2 bands. That would be 6 meters and 2 meters. That's not going to bring out the guys that are used to working microwaves, and not even, it's only half of my capability as far as the four band rover here. But I still give it a shot. You know, I did it my first year to try to get some experience roving and work on the radios. And like I said, it's a low participation thing. It seems anyway. This year, what they did is they split the contest to separate digital, which is basically FT8, and CW and single sideband to separate weekends. What I think the organizers got wrong, I hate to say it, he's a nice guy, and I talked to him on the phone earlier today for a different reason. I think I'll explain that in a minute. So I'm not throwing shade at him. In fact, I'm going to make light of it a little bit, but they put one of the halves of the contest on the first weekend in July, which in the United States is almost always going to fall on a 4th of July celebration of some sort. This year it was the 5th of July, but even though we celebrated the 4th, there's going to be more barbecues and other things going on Saturday, and so I don't know. They put the voice and CW on that weekend, and I think that's a bad idea. There's 2 things that go through my head when I think about it being a bad idea. One is the metrics of it. What it's going to show is, I think, I'm just making these blind predictions here. Oh, look, there's hardly any QSOs going on over CW and single sideband, but wow, the FT8 weekend was just hopping. Look at all these QSOs happening on FT8 weekend. It could be, there's a lot of diehard contesters, and I don't consider myself one. Just because my car looks like this doesn't mean that I'm a diehard contester. It just means that I made a serious effort into building what I could work with. The diehards are running 10 bands, not 4. So anyway, but the other thing that I think is going on is people aren't getting on the radio on the 4th of July or the 5th of July. Next year, by the way, the contest will literally be on the 4th of July. Who's going to get on the radio on the 4th of July? Now, if they had put digital on the 4th of July and then voice on the weekend that it's always been on, voice and CW on the same weekend that it's always been on, I think we might have seen some even play here. Here's why. Some people are going to get offended by this. I think nearly anybody who's accustomed to run an FT8, the computer does all of the work. All I do, the whole time I've been talking to you, I've been calling CQ on 6 meters. In fact, let me rotate my antenna a little bit, and we'll see what's going on over that way. So The computer's doing all the work. It's calling CQ. It's going to automatically answer whoever answers my CQ, whoever's got the strongest signal. So let's say I get a pileup. It's going to respond to whoever's got the strongest signal. And then all I have to do when the QSO's done is hit enter. The computer will even log it. I don't even have to keep track of the log. Some people say that's not real ham radio. I like FT8 in a pinch when I'm not able to find any voice contact, so it's a good backup. But as a primary mode, yeah, it's pretty boring. It gives me the time to talk to you. Where I'm going with this, nearly anybody can barbecue a burger and a hot dog and maybe even eat it at the same time, catch a movie and talk to visitors at the house, all while doing FT8 all at the same time. You could almost run an FT8 contest from your home without it interfering with what you've already got going on. This is assuming you're not going over to somebody else's house or that you're out in a car roving like this, because I wouldn't be able to do all of that here in the car. But when it comes to voice and CW, you really got to pay attention. Everything through the QSO you have to pay attention to. Then you got to make sure you log it right and make sure you don't have errors in the log. The computer ain't doing anything for you at that point. That's what I think about the contest, how it's turning out. Let's see, 2 weeks ago on the voice part, I only made, I want to say like six contacts. It was a very boring Saturday. I did some efforts for some POTA stuff. I'm chasing an N1CC award. That's 10 bands from 10 different parks. I only have 2 more parks to go. I've got 8 bands on one of those parks, and this other park that I'm sitting in now, right now I'm sitting in the Ragged Island Wildlife Management Area. So I'm working on 10 bands here as well. So once I do that, then I will have accomplished that. So I did some things outside of the contest since I've got a few rigs here in the car, and that way I wasn't completely bored. With FT8, it's only 2 bands. It's a little boring, but I can listen to music. I can surf the web. I can look over and pay attention to what's going on a little bit. Let's see the rule change. It's not a rule change. It's actually a rule that I've overlooked. Well, somebody told me today, hey, Scott, I see you calling CQ on 2 bands at the same time, and you're not supposed to do that. And I was like, what, really? I don't remember seeing that in the rules. I mean, I do read the rules. Let me switch bands real quick here. I see somebody I want to try to call. Let's see if it works. And so I went ahead and looked at the rules, and what I found was, I guess I did read them closely enough. Well, no, I didn't read them closely enough. It's got the categories, right? I don't remember how many categories they have, but there's one that's a single operator. That could be me. Multi-operator. Rover, that's me. And I don't remember what the 4th one is. But I gravitated straight to Rover. I didn't read the single op because I'm acting as a rover during this contest. Well, because I didn't read the single op section, single operators are not allowed to operate on more than 1 band at one time. The term SO2R is new to me, single operator 2 radio, and apparently the CQ Worldwide VHF Contest does not allow that. That's kind of a bummer. So the fellow who informed me of that rule, he and I kind of agreed, hey, why don't you give the organizer a call and ask him what he thinks about this? Because that rule is stated in the single operator. There we go, I made a contact, so let me hit OK. And that was it. I just made a contact just in those few minutes that I was talking to you. Anyway, the organizer, he agreed, yeah, our intention is that a single operator just can't go hog wild calling CQ on every band he's got, which in this contest is a little funny because there's only 2 bands, so we're not talking about really going too hog wild here, but all right. I told him that I would honor that, and I got to tell you though, FT8 is a slow mode as it is, and if I can only call on 1 band at a time, that slows things down even more. And because this is going to fall, well, FT8 next year won't fall on the 4th of July, but single sideband and CW will, and I'm not going out on the 4th of July to do this. So I don't know. I don't know what my future with the CQ Worldwide VHF Contest looks like. I'm not saying you should change it if it works for everybody else. that's great. Just because it doesn't work for me doesn't mean everybody else should have to change. So we'll see how that goes. So what does SO2R look like on FT8? Well, right now I'm running, just as an example, I'm not going to make any QSOs here. I'm just going to show you what happens. Here's my setup. And so I've got my laptop off over here where it almost always is. And because I have two instances of WSJTX running, I can't see my waterfalls over here. So I hooked up a separate monitor that I play with from time to time. And that's showing me my waterfall so I can watch activity. And you can see right now things are pretty weak. And either they're weak and I can't get them, or I've already talked to them, and so there's nothing going on between us. And this is my setup, and all I have to do is hit Enable TX in each of these windows and make sure that I have both of the TXs set to the same. So either check it or uncheck it on both of them. My amplifiers are set up to where if one transmitter keys, then all of the amplifiers key, which then forces everything, it blanks all the receivers. So the goal here is, if I go out on this transmitter, it's not going to wipe out the receivers on these other radios. It protects everything. But if I transmit on two transceivers at the same time, and then I listen all at the same time, then I can work two bands at exactly the same time. And that works great during the ARRL contest. Some people can do it voice. They'll put on some headphones and they've got one band over here, one band over here, the boom microphone here, and then the hand mic there. And I don't know how they do it. And some people do it on CW even. It's amazing. That's not the kind of operator I am. But on FT8, piece of cake, the computer manages everything. So that's pretty much what was going on here. This contest is still ongoing. I've already made more QSOs here on FT8 today. What time is it right now? It's 17:35, 1:35 local time here. This morning I was in FM 26. Now I am in FM 16, and I'll stay here for a couple hours and then run off up to Chip Oaks Plantation State Park. That's in FM 17. And that's another park I'd like to try to get 10 bands from. I only got 3 bands 2 weeks ago. We'll see if I can do a little better this weekend. And I'll let you know if I'm successful at getting an N1CC. I will post the certificate here on the screen. I will tell you how many contacts I've made. I think I've made a couple dozen, but that's another thing. The way I'm logging here is I can't see everything that I'm doing. And so I'm not watching as closely because my logs are in 2 different files instead of a nice, easy, here's the log for single sideband, and it shows me my total QSO count. It's completely different with FT8, the way I'm doing it here anyway. So let me know if you've got any questions. I appreciate you being here. Talk to you next time. Take care.